Tuesday night clinched the 8th and final playoff spot for the Storm. The Sparks needed Seattle to lose to stay in contention. This is the 4th straight year the Sparks have failed to make the playoffs. The Sparks wrap up the season Thursday night at home against the Las Vegas Aces. The Dodgers increased their lead to 2 games over San Diego in the NL West. Right fielder Teoscar Hernandez hit 2 home runs Tuesday night to spark the Dodgers' 7-2 win over Colorado. Top 5 college football teams in this week's top 25 poll: Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, Oregon, and Miami. Jackson State remained at number 15 in this week's NCAA Division I AA rankings. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey!
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
People say I'm the life of the party 'cause I tell a joke or two. Although I might be the laughing loud and hearty, deep inside I'm blue. So take a good look at my face. You'll see my smile looks out of place. If you look closer, it's easy to trace the tracks of my tears. I need you, need you. Since you
KBLA Talk 1580. Well, there's a nice way to ease into your Wednesday. Little tracks of my tears. And I am so excited and honored to have with me in the studio the woman named by Berry Gordy himself as the First Lady of Motown. She is an author, a singer, an activist, and she's with us today. Claudette Robinson, good morning.
And good morning to you, Dominique. It is so nice to meet you and be in your studio.
Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you as well. It's actually Tavis Smiley's studio, but thank you for coming in. And I appreciate you so much to talk about. You chose that song, Tracks of My Tears. Why did you pick that one?
Well, I thought Tracks of My Tears is one that would be familiar perhaps to the audience as far as the Miracles. It's one of our well-known songs, even though we've done thousands of songs.
Thousands of songs?
Yes, we have.
Wow. I did read in your bio, one of the bios, there's lots of bios of you on the internets, that you guys were constantly in the studio.
We were in the studio quite a bit because at that time studios were not the way they are today. And when the studio was vacant, we had an opportunity to go in. And it wasn't so difficult for us at that time because we had our songs already before we went in the studio. So we were prepared. We didn't have to spend hours and hours trying to get it together. We already knew the songs.
Right, you weren't writing in the studio. You had already rehearsed the songs. You could probably perform it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were ready to go. Not necessarily performance, but we did know at least the lyrics, the harmony, and what went together. So it was a lot of fun. You know, of course, we were very young. You know, I was extremely young.
Yeah.
And it was just a time that I don't think will ever be duplicated in terms of what you could do, even though they're marvelous, marvelous people today, you know, doing recordings in all genres of music. It's not just our music, it's all music, because there's so many amazing, talented people. And I'm happy to hear what they're doing today, especially our young women.
I love to hear that because it's so easy to get stuck in one genre, one era, one moment in time, and not. I guess that's what keeps you young and beautiful.
Well, I thank you for that compliment, but I think that if you love music, then you can enjoy all types of music, not just your own. And I've been truly, truly blessed to have been a part of the early days and going into our latter days today. You know, I don't know if you know when we began. We actually met Mr. Gordy in 1957.
Well, I was going to ask you, Miss Robinson, because I knew you were in the Miracles, but I didn't know it was your brother who was the founding member, and that was how you ended up in the Miracles.
Well, you're correct on that. Excuse me, my brother, Emerson Rogers, had been a member of what was in the Matadors. If my brother had a group, then if he was in the Matadors, I was in the Matadorettes. When he was in the Orchids, I was in the Orcherettes. And that was when the Ets came. That was because those were girls. And so it'd be 5 girls, and he'd be 5 boys. And my brother decided that music was not going anyplace for him. So he decided that he would join the Army, and that's what he did. And when this big opportunity came looking for groups all around the city, it was too late for him because he was already shipped off to Germany, which was like the Korean War. And so since they used our house for their rehearsal, I was asked by Smokey if I would go with them to the audition, because we used to, kind of rehearse back and forth. And I did. I went to the audition. I went in my United States Marine Corps uniform, and because I had just finished basic training at Camp Pendleton. And so, at that time, people were very proud to be a part of the military. Today, they kind of pull back a little bit because of the fact is that we don't really respect and honor our military, I think, the way we should. Because if it was not for the military, long before I became a part of the military, we would not have the freedoms that we have today. Because if you know, no one has come to America and destroyed our cities, but we have gone to other countries fighting for our freedom and other freedom, and therefore their country is torn up. So we have to be grateful and thankful for all these people, men and women, who have fought for our freedom today.
I always, and I should say thank you for your service. I always thank people for their service. I don't agree with all of the campaigns that our military does, particularly not in our cities right now, going to Chicago and such. But the sacrifice and service of the men and women of the military, I think, is something we should never take for granted.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah. So your brother says, I'm out, I'm in the Army, but you're in the Marines. So how did you get to stay in the Miracles and he had to ship out?
Well, I was in the Marine Corps Reserves. But the reserves, you have to do basic training the same way that if you're in the full service. And I wanted to be in the full service, but you had to be, what I wanted to do was travel around the world. And at that time, you needed to be 21 as a female so that you could travel abroad. And so my mother, of course, also would not sign. So with that, what happened is I was able to be at home as well as of service.
So you were in the Marines and the Miracles at the same time.
Well, I did become a miracle later. How the miracles came about, actually, is the fact that, Mr. Gordy said, you need a name and you need to have a record out. Well, he said, Matadors does not suit a group that has a girl in it. Because that was one of the reasons we almost didn't get signed, because the people we had gone to see, they felt like having a girl in the background was not what it should be, because there was already a group, the Platters, who were world recognized at that time, and they thought it was be like a copycat group, but it wasn't, because we were not going to be the same type group as the Platters. The Platters were absolutely amazing, but they had all these sweet melodies, and we were going to be really a rock and roll group. I did the same exact steps as the guys, but the only difference is they wore jacket, I wore a shorter type jacket, and I wore skirt rather than pants. And that was because we bought 5 suits, and, we were not like famous or anything, and therefore we also didn't have money to have uniforms made for ourselves. So they would take 5 suits, they'd take 1 suit and cut it down for me in a smaller jacket, and then take the pants and make them into a skirt for me. And that's how we would dance, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do the steps and long gowns and flowing, all the beautiful dresses that people wear. So it was just a miniature size of the guys, except I was a girl.
And that's amazing. It almost stopped you guys from getting signed, but in the end, obviously you did.
Well, that was because Mr. Gordy happened to be at the audition. Not for us. He was there he had written so many songs for Jackie Wilson, and Jackie Wilson was extremely famous at that time. And Mr. Gordy had hit songs for Jackie Wilson. And some of those songs was Reet Petite, Lonely Teardrops, excuse me. And he was listening to not just us, anybody that was there. And he was standing there. Of course, I had no idea who he was. At this time, Motown had not began yet. We're talking about late 1957, and the Motown actually began January 12th, 1959. So Mr. Gordy said, after he had listened and we were finished, and the other people did not really, they weren't impressed, because they thought we would be not, the same type group as the Platters. But Mr. Gordy, he said he liked the fact that there was a girl in the group. And he came over. I had no idea who he was. And he said, we did 5 original songs. So we thought that was going to be just absolutely wonderful and great, because who has 5 original songs and you're, not even professionals yet? Well, it didn't really work for the other people who were listening, but Mr. Gordy came over and he said, do you have any more of those songs? And Smokey said yes, and he said, how many? And he said 100. He said, well, can I hear some of those? He said, can I hear some of those? And he said, yes. And so we went over to the piano and, let him listen to a couple of the other songs that we all knew. And after we'd completed that, he said, I'd like to work with you guys. And I'm thinking to myself, really? Well, first of all, I didn't know who he was, and he did announce his name at that point, and he said, I'm Berry Gordy. That was fine, but I didn't know who Berry Gordy was.
Berry who?
So it's like, great. But Smokey did. Smokey had always had aspirations of becoming a songwriter. And there was a magazine at that time called Hit Parade. And with Hit Parade, it had the lyrics as well as the name of the songwriter. And that's how he knew who it was. But I guess I didn't really pay that much attention to who was writing it. As long as it sounded good, it was great for me.
That's amazing. And there was no internet back then, guys, so it was hit maker or nothing. We don't even have to go back to the 50s for that. We're talking with Claudette Robinson. She is the first lady of Motown, so dubbed by the founder of Motown, Mr. Berry Gordy, who you met way back then, not knowing who he was. What a big impact he would end up having on your life, and you would end up having on his. We'll continue this conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, indeed. It's my honor and my joy to be talking with Claudette Robinson, the First Lady of Motown, was a member of the Miracles, toured with the Miracles. You were in the reserves of the Marines, and you said you really wanted to travel. So apparently God found another way for you to travel.
I think you're correct on that, and I'm quite honored in both areas to be able to do that, because my first choice of a career was not to become an entertainer or a singer, because I was very shy. I mean, I thought shy. My mother said, no, not shy, darling. You were reserved.
Okay.
I'll take that. And I wanted to be a teacher. I felt that I would be able to show actually my love for children and also to work with them. And how I fulfill that part of my life is that as my children, both Barry and Tamla, Barry is my son, Tamla is my daughter, when they started school, because we had just moved to California, I decided that I would become an assistant in the classroom if they would allow me. And so they did, and I did that for most of their years, finding my way into the classroom.
So you were a rock star teacher. And also, I mean, I think to an extent you did fulfill that through your work as a children's book author. I'm holding it up right here.
Yeah.
Claudette's Miraculous Motown Adventure.
Well, you know, that was like a fantasy way of saying Claudette Robinson, First Lady of Motown. And my reason for doing that is that my first granddaughter, who is Lyric, Tamla's daughter, she was listening to me one day, and we were walking through the house, and she said something about Diana Ross. And then she looked at me and she said, Granny, they don't know, her friends, she said, they don't know who Diana Ross is. I thought to myself, they don't? I figured if they don't know who Diana Ross is, I know that they probably would not know who I am. So I thought, let me see what area of has not been tapped into for Motown and for people who, you know, love music and all. And I thought, children, because everybody goes, at least when you're older, you know, at least in your teens or whatever. And I thought that that would be an in for me to write about a fantasy way of how I became First Lady of Motown.
I love that you made it like almost like a fairy tale or a magical story instead of, you know, as a mom, I've looked at a lot of children's books and many times they're very literal.
Yes.
Harriet Tubman did this, she went here, she went there. But kids are imaginative, so you took a more imaginative approach.
Well, I think for me, I've always been one that had, you know, big dreams, but not so much about show business. It was always about something else, you know, fantasy, walking through, you know, flying around the moon or whatever. You know, and sometimes people would be like, really? That's what you're thinking? And I said, yeah, because I love life and I love living. And the more I live and the more life that I've been able to do, it has been just wonderful. You know, who would have thought that this little girl coming from New Orleans, Louisiana, then by way of Detroit, would ever get into the entertainment business? And I am so grateful and thankful, first to Mr. Gordy and to all the people around the world who made it possible for us, the Miracles, to be able to do something. And also I have to thank my godson, Adrian Miller, at this point, who has been so helpful in so many ways.
He's the one that connected us.
Pardon me?
He's the one that connected us.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
He did. And he is, of course, you know, I personally feel so many great things about him because he's a wonderful, wonderful man. And he's been working with me on what we're thinking, the rebirth of the Miracles, and doing something because the music, fortunately, because of people around the world, have made it possible for our music to still be going on. Because if you're thinking our very first record was recorded and put out on the market February 19th, 1958.
Wow.
And that was, Motown had not began yet, so it was on another record label called END, E-N-D record label, and that was out of New York. And the owner and person that at that time, our first record was Got a Job. And Got a Job actually did fairly well in the market, but when we received our royalties, you would not have thought that. Because the royalties that the person sent to us for everybody was like $3.19.
Wow.
And that was one of the reasons that Mr. Gordy actually started his own record company, because, of course, if that's all you're going to get, I don't think we can do any worse with our own.
That's a good point. It's interesting, too, that, although you guys later married, that Smokey Robinson was the one who asked you to come to the audition. So in a sense, he recruited you into entertainment.
I'd have to say yes to that, because first of all, I didn't think going to the audition that anybody was going to really choose us, but I didn't say that to the guys because it was it was their dream, their fantasy, their everything of being in show business. And my thought was at that time really is I didn't know how I was going to get on stage without my legs shaking. And,
But you were a teenager back then.
Oh, yeah, we were
and
all teenagers.
You guys weren't, you and Smokey
We
were not dating.
Yet.
Clearly you weren't married yet. You weren't dating, or were you?
Kind of, if you want to call it dating.
You go together?
Looking at each other.
Oh, okay, you liked each other.
Yeah.
I see.
I think eventually I liked him, not initially.
Oh, so he was trying to chase you.
Well, he said he wanted to get to know me.
Yeah, he was trying to chase you.
But he was my brother's friend. So,
right.
When you're a teenager especially, you don't want to meet anybody that's your brother's friend, because then your brother is all up in your business.
Right, exactly.
So that was my main reason initially, because he was always a nice guy, I was fortunate to have actually 4 really nice young men who protected me at all times. They were like my bodyguards.
Wow.
And, I was fortunate because so many young women did not have that, the protection of having, men, because, who could afford security and all of that at that time? So it's been a wonderful journey for me, and as they say, a great ride. And I am if I can tell you how grateful and thankful I am that here, 60 plus years later, which I don't know how that could be because I'm not 60 yet.
Right, you're only 25, so it's girl math.
I've had such a wonderful time meeting people from around the world, all over the world, who have listened to our music, because the first persons of any fame that we met in England were the Beatles.
Wow.
And they said that what they did is that they listened to our music to learn to speak English better, and they would practice from our songs.
They might have learned a few things about harmonizing too, huh?
Yes.
It wasn't just the English, guys. Fess up. Well, I want to talk about your work when we continue this conversation in, keeping the Miracles legacy alive. That's a big part of what you're doing now. We'll look at that. Of course, your induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and so much more when we continue on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is brushing off reports he'll quit the mayor's race.
Next question.
Adams says he's staying in as an independent despite rumors of a Trump administration job offer. Trump has urged Adams and Republican Curtis Sleewood to drop out to boost Andrew Cuomo against frontrunner Zohran Mamdani. A black Minnesota man is free after 27 years for a murder he didn't commit. Brian Hooper was sentenced to life in 1998, but the key witness recently confessed to the crime. Hooper, now 54, walked out of Stillwater Prison to reunite with his children. And rapper Young Thug is apologizing to girlfriend Mariah the Scientist after leaked jail calls revealed he was unfaithful. The private conversations, now public, sparked social media buzz. Thug posted on X saying he's sorry and willing to do anything to make the relationship work. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the dagger?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
The LA Sparks beat the Phoenix Mercury Tuesday night, but they were eliminated from contention for the WNBA playoffs. The Seattle Storm's one-point win over Golden State Tuesday night clinched the 8th and final playoff spot for the Storm. The Sparks needed Seattle to lose to stay in contention. This is the 4th straight year the Sparks have failed to make the playoffs. The Sparks wrap up the season Thursday night at home against the Las Vegas Aces. The Dodgers increased their lead to 2 games over San Diego in the NL West. Right fielder Teoscar Hernandez hit 2 home runs Tuesday night to spark the Dodgers' 7-2 win over Colorado. Top 5 college football teams in this week's top 25 poll: Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, Oregon, and Miami. Jackson State remained at number 15 in this week's NCAA Division I AA rankings. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at KBLA1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to KBLA1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed. Plus free premium delivery with any smart bed and adjustable base. Ends Labor Day. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're apologetically progressive and...
That fella just had a day. Did I not tell you? Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! Ooh-wee! Ooh-wee! Easy!
live on Easy Street. Nobody works on Easy Street. They just sit around all day. Just sit and play the horses. Life is sweet.
For folks who live on
Easy Street. No weekly payments you must meet. That makes your hair turn gray. Turn gray, turn gray. When opportunity comes a knocking, you just keep on with your rockin', 'cause you know your fortune's made. And anytime you so desire, there's a man that you can hire to plant trees so you can have shade.
Lots of miracles right there. We can hear you loud and clear on that one. The harmonies and everything. Tell us about that song.
Well, you know, at one point we were going to do a nightclub act. So Charlie Atkins, who was the choreographer, and Mickey Stevenson, who did some of the harmony, which was our first A&R person. We practiced with them. We were in New York for a month, and we did all these, you know, songs that people would not think that we'd be singing. You know, like classics. Easy Street was one of them, and I thought that it kind of showed a little more of our ability to actually be able to sing rather than just oohs and ahs and whatever. Because sometimes people are not aware that if you do oohs and ahs, you still can sing. You know,
I don't know why they wouldn't be aware. Doing those perfect harmonies is not easy.
Well, you know, it's like when you know that, you know that. But many people don't know that. And they just think, you know, it's like, oh, anybody can do that.
Yeah, try it, see how that turns out for you.
Yeah.
But also that there is something about the Great American Songbook that we kind of respect it in a way that perhaps we don't give that kind of a respect to rock and roll, R&B, the Motown sound.
Sometimes you're correct. I mean, not sometimes. You are correct in saying that because sometimes, you know, it took a while, I think, for the sound of Motown to really be recognized. And that happened in 1960. And that's when Shop Around became Motown's first million seller. And after that occurred, you'd be surprised how many people started coming to Motown because prior to that, it was just this little record company, you know, another black company. Nothing probably was going to happen. So people were not rushing to get to Motown because because actually the first label was Tamla. And Tamla...
Who you named your daughter after.
Yes,
Tamla.
I did name my daughter after that. But not only that, all the Miracles records were recorded on the Tamla label, not Motown. And I know people are not aware of that because actually Tamla Motown, it's one and the same. Actually, Motown began, there were many, many labels. There was a gospel label. There was a rock and roll. We even had artists that were not people of color. And that's something also that probably they didn't know about Motown.
I didn't know that, yeah. And so these were all like subsidiaries of Motown, which eventually merged into the one label?
Well, I don't think it merged. They all remained. Each label still was an individual. There was a gospel label. There were, I think, about 15. I may be wrong on the number of labels. But, you know, you had to have more than one label because if you're going to broadcast and everybody is on one label, it's not going to get played.
You'll be too much dominance from the one
Absolutely.
From the one label. And I don't know if you want to share, but I know that you were on the road, you were touring so much, you were in the studio, you were working so hard with the Miracles that when you did get married to Mr. Smokey Robinson and you guys wanted to have a child, it wasn't easy.
No, it was not easy for me at all. I unfortunately had 8 miscarriages and long-term miscarriages. The shortest one was 5.5 months and 7 months.
Oh my, that's so traumatic.
I know.
Wow.
And just short of 7 months with twins. So it was not easy. It was not easy at all.
But you kept
And
trying.
I would not wish that on anyone.
No, not at all. And you have such a joy of life, and you such positive energy. It'd be easy to say, oh, she's had it made her whole life. She's been a star since she was a teenager. 8 miscarriages, and you finally have 2 precious children.
I do.
And so that, I guess, that positive energy that you have, that's a choice.
I think so. Number one, my faith and believing in God, because without that, I would not have been able to make it through.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm almost getting choked up with that.
Yeah, me too.
So,
I mean, it's.
Excuse me. It was difficult because the doctor kept saying, "You're young. Next time," and I kept thinking, okay, well, after the first one, next time should be number 2, not years later.
Yeah.
But I guess God always has his own plan of how he plans your life, my life, and anyone's life. And I just had to hold on to the faith and believe that somehow, some way, something dear and near was going to happen for me. My first born was Barry William Barope. And Barope is Bobby, Ronnie, and Pete, the first 2 letters of the other miracle guys.
Your babies are named after music. I love that you said Barry Gordy held the name Tamla for you until you had your first daughter and wouldn't let anyone else name their child.
Right,
I love that so much.
Right.
Great story.
Right, and I also have 3 grandchildren. My first grandchild, Lyric's daughter, is Lyric Claudette.
Aw, I love that.
And Tamla's name also is Tamla Claudette.
Okay, because those middle names are going strong. Yeah. Now, you're the head of the Miracles Legacy Team. What does that mean? What's your mission?
My mission is to keep the Miracles, both the music and the members who made it made it a part of American history. It's Bobby, Ronnie, Pete, and Smokey, the 4 guys, and also our guitarist was Marv Tarplin, who did many, when I say did, he wrote many of the songs or co-wrote many of the Miracle songs. Unfortunately, all those people that I have named for you are now deceased, with the exception of Smokey and myself. We're the only living Miracles still here.
And you guys remain friends.
Smokey and
yes.
I? Oh, yeah, we're friends. We're friends. We have 2 children
not
and 3
everybody
grandchildren.
Like people got 20 kids and still not friends. Girl, not everybody can vibe with their exes. Even if they had a legacy of music together.
I have to say that for me, I think that's important. It's important for your family. If it can happen.
Right.
If it can happen. I know that sometimes it can't for a number of reasons. But, I'm not angry or bitter about any of my past or what could, or anything that, has happened. Because I think that things that happen are for a reason, even though sometimes we don't know what that reason is. But I think if we live long enough, you'll get to where that is, hopefully. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I was one who was like, oh, yeah, divorce is great. No, it's not. I've always said that divorce is probably a little worse than death. And they'll say, what do you mean? And I said, because in life, you're still dealing with the person. If there's death, it's ended. You don't have to deal with whatever that may be. And I think it's kind of in some ways left up to you what you want to do with your life. I love to be happy. I like to be healthy. I want to do all the things that I can do to make it a good life for me first, and then whatever happens and falls in place after that. And life is not over just because you're divorced. Life is not over because a career changes. There's so much of life to give and live. And for me, I just want to keep on living. You know, my goal is 150.
Okay.
And so my doctor says it's okay. He said he thinks I can make it.
You're on track. Yeah. You got a long ways to go.
A long way to go. But
25 to 150.
Life is precious, and it's so special. And I've been gifted to have met so many wonderful people around the world, and, you know, having been given so many awards and honors that I never thought that I would have, even in today's time. You know, after you've been kind of like off the road and other things are happening in your life, who would think that someone was going to award you or give you an honor? You know, when we received our honor in 2009 was when we received our Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame. And at that point, I will tell you, I did not think that it would ever occur because, you know, we'd been, I think it was our 50th year.
Wow.
And who thinks at that point anybody's even cares or listening or
they
whatever.
should care. I mean, what a legacy.
But it was an honor, a real honor, and so very special to have that happen, you know, for us. The unfortunate thing of that is that one of our members was already deceased, and Ronnie White passed away in 1995 of leukemia. And, you know, that was so hard for all of us. And I really stopped performing live in 1965. And that was, you know, the reason behind what they felt was a health issue, and that I needed to stay home more and just rest more, you know. So that
she rolled her eyes when she said rest more. Okay, Ray wanted me to rest more, and but you still pop up on stage from time to time.
Absolutely, you know, I enjoy doing that. It was, as much as I did not think I wanted to be a part of show business, once I was a part, and the wonderful people, I'm going to say, everywhere around the world who, you know, would come to the concerts and talk about their experiences. And I met a lady once, it was 1958 at the Apollo Theater, and she was cleaning the dressing rooms. And she came up to me and she's like, "How do you do that? You're singing with guys. They said that women can't do that. We just have to be housekeepers and maids or something." And I said, "Well, that's not true." I said, "You can be whatever you choose to be. Now, it may be a little more difficult. You may have some trials, tribulations, and things that you may have to go through. But if that's your true desire, you can do it." And I think that we as women, sometimes we don't feel our true worth of what we can do, you know, and that we're enough. Well, whoever we are, it's enough just being who you are. You don't have to emulate or be a copy of anybody else other than yourself. You're okay. You're fine. And I think even as young girls, girls have a harder time than our males, of thinking, you know, I'm wonderful. This is great. You know, because we have different roads and challenges that we enter into. That same lady, I'm going to say 40 years later, I met her through her daughter, who was a singer, who is a singer, and her name is Tish Hyman. And so she told me about her mom telling her what I had said to her in 1958, and this is 40 years later.
Wow.
And she said that meant so much to her to know that there you are on stage with these guys, and that if she can do that, then maybe I can do it as well. And she had a beautiful, beautiful voice. And but I think she was more into gospel, and she's now passed away. But I had that recording because I had an opportunity to see her after all those years, and I had the recording on my phone. And you know how these phones are; somehow it just disappeared when they had whatever you do with the phone. But I remember her so well.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
and that you inspired her life. We're talking with Claudette Robinson, dubbed the First Lady of Motown, not just because of her illustrious career with the Miracles, but also she was literally the First Lady at Motown. I want to talk Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when we come forward. And whatever else you want to say, that's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Is your loved one at the hospital or in a nursing home? Have they developed bed sores, fallen, or worse? These are things your family members should be protected from. Bed sores, falls, and dehydration are almost always the result of negligent care. If this has happened to your loved one, call Zorin at Basic Law Group at 800-215-1234 or visit basiclawgroup.com. The consultation is free, and if they don't win, you don't pay. That's 800-215-1234.
Thinking about going electric? Now is the perfect time. Electric vehicles cost less to run, don't need gas, and need fewer repairs than gas-powered cars. You can also save with federal and state tax credits, and in some areas, qualify for rebates on home charging stations. To learn more, visit www.breathesocal.org. That's www.breathesocal.org. You have cancer. The 3 words no one wants to hear. Of the cancers that impact our community, lung cancer is the most dangerous. More people succumb to lung cancer than colon, breast, and prostate combined. Black men are 12% more likely to develop lung cancer, and cases for Black women are rising. Early detection and comprehensive treatment is the best way to beat this dreaded disease. Providence is a research leader in multi-cancer early detection, offering blood tests that identify fast-spreading cancers that don't show symptoms in early stages. The Providence Los Angeles Integrated Network Cancer Program determines best protocols for each patient, interacting with specialists who share experiences, perspectives, and new findings specific to each case. With over 1,000 board-certified physicians, including top oncologists, surgeons, radiologists, and nurse specialists, Providence delivers whole-person care that understands your culture, values, preferences, and priorities. So, if you hear the words "you have cancer," all you need is faith and providence.org/cancer.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
We were joking. Claudette Robinson is with me. She's a First Lady of Motown. But we were joking that at one point you were the only lady of Motown, which doesn't quite have the same ring to it, only lady of Motown. But what it means, though, is that you actually opened the door for the Marvelettes, the Vandellas, like all the later women that came actually were not present when you started at Motown, well, Tamla and then Motown with the Miracles.
Oh, you are absolutely correct on that. And as they came, I was so excited that there were going to be other females beside myself. And, I feel as though I helped them, in learning some of the things that I had learned by being on the road. We had been on the road a couple of years before any of them came along. And so some of the things, the do's, the don'ts, and whatever, I thought I could present that to them, let them be aware of things that happen on the road. I was blessed in terms of having 4 guys. And so when anyone would come to, try to make a disruption or something, they were trying to get to me, it was always a hand up. It was this hand, this side, whatever, because the guys were like my bodyguards.
Yeah, they were protective.
They were very, very protective. And all females in all groups didn't have that, but
yeah,
it was,
for
it's
sure
just,
they didn't. So you finally got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I know there was a little bit of controversy, I guess, because at first the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducted Smokey, but not the Miracles.
Correct.
Which is weird.
Yes.
And then several years later, they came back and inducted the entire Miracles.
Well, actually, it was more than a couple of years. It was about 25 years.
What? That's way more than a couple of years.
Yes, it was.
And it was, and there was activism around it. I mean, not you guys, but the fans were lobbying, right?
Well, in terms of what happened with that, there's a list that goes out for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and people vote. I'm not sure if our name ever went up before, because I think most of them felt that when he Mr. Robinson, when he was inducted, that we also had been inducted. So there was no reason to vote for us because they kept saying, you've already got your award. Well, I said, I don't have the trophy. I don't have a plaque. I don't have a certificate. And finally it happened. But it was, I'm not going to say it was too late, but it was late. Late in terms of Ronnie was deceased. Bobby, who was my cousin, he was having health issues, so he couldn't really be there. So the only people representative of the Miracles was Pete Moore, our bass singer, and myself. We went on stage to receive the award, and Smokey actually inducted us.
Oh, that was nice.
So, it wasn't Smokey's fault that he was inducted first. I'd have to say whoever the powers that be just did not know because they were inducting him as, I guess, a solo artist. But you have to be a solo artist 25 years before. I mean, that was the rule. I'm not sure what the rules are today. But that you'd have to have had your first record drop as a solo artist. It would have been 25 years prior to being inducted. And that was not the case for him at that time. I think he had only been a solo artist maybe 14 years. But, maybe they didn't look at that or, they saw him. They didn't see us. So that's how it went, But Bobby did keep the group going for as long as he could. But as I said, he did pass away, I think, 13 years ago. And
well, I mean, I'm glad they set the record straight. I'm glad they,
did do that.
I'm glad they did the right thing and that you got your flowers as you should, and the group even posthumously got their flowers. I'm glad you and your ex, your very famous ex, Mr. Smokey Robinson, are still friends. You guys were married 27 years. That's more than a notion. And you've two beautiful children. And what a blessing for everyone involved that you have taken it upon yourself to make sure that the Miracles are not forgotten and that they're properly recognized.
Well, thank you for that, but I think it is sort of a mission for me because I want people to always remember the very first group that was signed to Mr. Gordy as well as Tamla Motown was the Miracles. It wasn't, I'm not taking anything away from the others, but we were first. And I don't want first to be forgotten as first. And I am honored, truly, truly honored, first of all, to be here with you this morning. And it has been delightful for me to speak with you and listen to some of the things off camera that we've talked about.
Absolutely. You can find her at First Lady of Motown on Instagram, Claudette Robinson. You also have a website.
Yes.
And they can keep up with all the great work you're doing, support the great work you're doing. Get the book for your babies, Claudette's Miraculous Motown Adventure. And thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me. And it is my honor and pleasure to be with you this early morning.
The honor is all mine. Tavis Smiley's up right now. He's got an incredible show for you on deck. Like my mama used to say, history is now, and we are making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is brushing off reports he'll quit the mayor's race.
Next question.
Adams says he's staying in as an independent despite rumors of a Trump administration job offer. Trump has urged Adams and Republican Curtis Sleewood to drop out to boost Andrew Cuomo against frontrunner Zohran Mamdani. A black Minnesota man is free after 27 years for a murder he didn't commit. Brian Hooper was sentenced to life in 1998, but the key witness recently confessed to the crime. Hooper, now 54, walked out of Stillwater Prison to reunite with his children. And rapper Young Thug is apologizing to girlfriend Mariah the Scientist after leaked jail calls revealed he was unfaithful. The private conversations, now public, sparked social media buzz. Thug posted on X saying he's sorry and willing to do anything to make the relationship work. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The LA Sparks beat the Phoenix Mercury Tuesday night, but they were eliminated from contention for the WNBA playoffs. The Seattle Storm's 1-point win over Golden State Tuesday night clinched the 8th and final playoff spot for the Storm. The Sparks needed Seattle to lose to stay in contention. This is the 4th straight year the Sparks have failed to make the playoffs. The Sparks wrap up the season Thursday night at home against the Las Vegas Aces. The Dodgers increased their lead to 2 games over San Diego in the NL West. Right fielder Teoscar Hernandez hit 2 home runs Tuesday night to spark the Dodgers' 7-2 win over Colorado. Top 5 college football teams in this week's top 25 poll: Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, Oregon, and Miami. Jackson State remained at number 15 in this week's NCAA Division I AA rankings. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces